Marketing Solutions en Europa. Lo siento voy a hablar inglés porque ella ha dicho todo lo que se decía en español. Now move over to English. Firstly, thank you so much for inviting us to speak today. It is much appreciated. This morning, when I dragged myself out of bed and walked over to the bathroom, I opened my toiletries bag and I pulled out what was my last razor blade. I only had one razor blade left. And without thinking about it, I shaved for the day, I walked out of the bathroom, back into the bedroom, picked up my mobile phone, opened the Amazon app. With one scroll, Amazon was surfacing razor blades to me, and with one click, I have full confidence that Amazon will deliver those razor blades at my desk tomorrow morning when I'm back in London. I love Amazon. I'm a big Amazon fan. And I'm an Amazon fan for two reasons. One is that they have world-class customer service. But the second is that they provide me with an incredibly personalized, tailored, customized experience. They know what I bought in the past, they can predict what I'm going to buy in the future, they know what people similar to me on the Amazon platform are buying. And this combination of world-class customer service and a very personalized experience, despite having hundreds of millions of customers, still providing me with a personalized experience, is why I love the Amazon brand. It's why I have an affinity with the Amazon brand, and I use them so regularly. There's three things that I'd like to talk to you about today. Can everyone hear, by the way? Yeah. There's three things I'd love to talk to you about today. The first is some of the macro conditions which have fundamentally changed buyers' behaviour, notably in the B2B space and the high consideration B2C space. Everyone knows what I mean when I say B2B. When I say B2C, or high consideration B2C, I mean people buying expensive items, people buying cars or luxury goods or luxury holidays. The second thing is I'd like to share 5 trends with you which we at LinkedIn are seeing as fundamental shifts and huge advantages that marketers are starting to see today to enable them to provide more relevant experiences to their customers. And thirdly, I'd like to share some recent innovation from LinkedIn about how we are helping marketers more effectively engage with professionals around the world. Marketing has made, as I'm sure many of you will agree, marketing has made more progress in the last 5 years than the previous 50. In fact, I would argue that a marketer's responsibility, a marketer's duty today is more critical than it has ever been in the past. And marketers have a more influential play over the buying process than they ever have done in the past. So why is this happening? Why are marketers playing a more influential role in the purchase process and the buying process than ever before? It's because if you rewind, if you go back 10 years, if you were an IT decision maker in a company and you needed to buy a piece of software, what would you do? You'd call HP, you'd call Microsoft, you'd call IBM, you'd call some other partners, you'd invite them in, each of them would present to you. Once they presented to you, you'd spend some time talking to your colleagues and you'd make a decision on which vendor you want to use. Fast forward to today, and if you look at any of the statistics out there, the average buyer is somewhere between 75 to 90% of the way through the decision-making process before they ever pick up the phone and call a potential vendor. What are they doing throughout that time? They're self-educated. Gone are the days where you can simply come in, put up a presentation, present, and then make a decision. Again, 75 to 90% of the way through the decision-making process. And today, specifically in the B2B space, what are marketers doing? Marketers are generally spending on a multitude of channels, various different channels, and they're trying to take an audience from those channels to their corporate website. They're going to their corporate website, and on their corporate website, they're trying to engage, educate, and most importantly, convert to a lead. The challenge today The challenge today is that we're not collectively very good at doing this. So let's do some back of napkin maths to determine how effective our industry is at converting leads based on traffic that we're directing to our website. So as a starting point, if you take 100% of the visitors, 95% of visitors will leave your website without you ever knowing who they are. They are a missed opportunity. You know they've expressed some interest, they've come to your website, they've looked at products or services, but they've left without you ever building a relationship. It leaves you with 5%. Let's say you manage to capture the email addresses of 5% of your audience, and there's a couple of marketers in the audience who go, 5% would be nice, because in reality it's somewhere about 2 to 3%. So on a good day you're capturing 5%. The reality is that you're only actually, those 5%, when you follow up on email, only 20% of the 5% are actually opening your email. So if you look at the overall picture, it's a pretty sobering picture that we have today. We consider success 1% conversion rate in traffic coming to our website. If I was a betting person, I would not bet on that number. 1% is not effective. We need to accept that we can no longer accept 1% as success. We need to find a solution that enables us to nurture and build relationships with the 95% of people so that we're no longer leaving business on the table. The challenge today, and I talked about this sort of shift in the buying process, is that people are self-educating. People are researching themselves, they're reading white papers, they're reading case studies, they're going to social networks, they're asking for recommendations from people in their networks. They're doing a vast amount of research. We have access today to information 24/7. And what that means is that we no longer need to call vendors to find out about their products and services. We can do all of this on our own time, no matter what time of day, whichever time zone we're in around the world. We're self-educating like never before. And what that means is that from a marketing perspective, we have to get to a person-centric approach to marketing. It has to be customer-centric, more so than it has ever been in the past. But the good news is, if you thought we've made more progress in the last 5 years than the previous 50, the next 12 to 24 months present us with incredible opportunities to become more effective at nurturing and building relationships with our prospects over time. So let me share with you 5 little trends that we're seeing that we believe are going to help marketers become more productive and more successful over the next 12 to 24 months. Not surprisingly, and I'm sure you've heard it all before a million times, this is the year of mobile. I think 5 years ago was the year of mobile, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and still this year, everyone's like, this is the year of mobile. So for me, this isn't necessarily about mobile. We know that mobile is big. We know that our businesses need to embrace mobile in order to thrive. From a LinkedIn perspective, we're seeing about 50%, depends on the country, but about 50% of our audience are now engaging with us through their mobile device. And the primary way that they're engaging with us is through relevant content in their newsfeed. But on mobile specifically, we haven't always been that sophisticated at the type of content that we're putting in front of consumers on mobile devices. But as a result of the huge advances in targeting in native ad formats, we're now becoming much better at identifying where mobile consumers are in their decision-making process. And within the B2B world, not only do we know where they are in the decision-making process, but we now know their seniority, their function, their industry, and in many cases, the company that they actually work for. And although cross-device attribution has been around for some time, as a result of our ability to put relevant content in front of mobile consumers, cross-device attribution is now becoming more important by the day. You may have heard the stats before, but just to remind you, by 2016 there's going to be 2 billion smartphones on the world. there's going to be $100 billion spent on mobile advertising, and disturbingly, each of us look at our mobile devices about 150 times per day. So for businesses to thrive, they have to get mobile. They need to understand where their mobile consumers are in the decision-making process, and we need to start surfacing relevant content on mobile devices. The next trend that we're seeing, and again, sort of similar to mobile, people have been talking about data for years, but what traditionally happens in an organisation is we only use data from the marketing department. What's happening now is we're seeing this trend where companies are starting to realise the benefit of pulling data together from all of the different departments. We've always talked about the importance of marketing and sales working together. We're now thinking about marketing, sales, and customer service, amongst others, and pulling all of those data sets together to provide much more customer-centric experiences. I was in the US a few weeks ago and I had to call my airline about a flight that I was just about to take. Normally when you call an airline, you call the airline and suddenly you get some automated voice saying, if you're interested in X, press 1. If you're interested in B, press 2. And it goes up to 8 or 9, and by the time you're at the end, you're like, please someone just pick up the phone. In this instance, I had a slightly different situation. In this instance, as I called them, it said, hello Mr. Graff, we recognise you by your phone number. Are you calling about your flight tomorrow? For me, this is an amazing customer experience. They pull together data points from all the different parts of their organisation. It was truly customer-centric. This is what I like. This is a trend that we're seeing, and I expect we will be seeing a lot more of this over the next couple of years as different departments within organisations start pulling their data together. I love this airline as a result of this. It saved me time, stopped me getting frustrated, built brand affinity between me and the airline brand. The third trend that we're seeing is this ability to nurture our prospects using technology. We've been nurturing pretty well on email for the last decade or so. We've been able to segment and nurture all the people in our CRM system through email. What we're now starting to see is that nurturing technology has gone beyond email. You can now nurture customers across a multitude of devices, a number of different screens, and a whole load of digital assets as well. You can nurture your audience, both your known audience, those in your CRM system, and your unknown audience as well. And I'm going to come on to talk a bit more about that later. But we have to be nurturing our customers, our prospective customers, across all of the channels that they're using. It's no longer sufficient just to nurture your audience over email. Remember the stat at the beginning. Only 20% of people are actually opening the emails on a good day. The fourth trend that we're seeing is predictive analytics. Out of interest, how many of you today are using predictive analytics in your respective companies, be it an agency or client side? A lot of blank faces shaking their heads. So, predictive analytics is one of the fastest growing segments of the marketing and advertising business today. And although we've generally been pretty good at segmentation, we use analytics to score leads as they come into our business. Predictive analytics now enables us to identify new segments, to identify new segments. And rather than just segmenting our existing customer base, we can now predict who will be our highest value customers in the future. And we can start to build up different pools of these people and target them effectively across a number of different devices, across a number of different screens. If your organization is not embracing predictive analytics today, I encourage you strongly to speak to all the different startups that are working in this space. It is the future of marketing, in my opinion, by a long, long way. The fifth and final trend that we're starting to see is this combination of advertising technology and marketing automation coming together. I think the sort of best way to think about this is on a chart. So if you look at the chart on the, yeah, can you see that by the way? From my couple of faces changing. So the light isn't great, so I'll explain to you what you're seeing on the screen at the moment. So we have a chart. On the vertical axis, we have personalization. On the horizontal axis, we have scale. So personalization and scale. Marketing automation has traditionally sat in the top left-hand corner. Marketing automation has been very personalized. You can personalize all those emails that go out, but it's been notoriously difficult to scale. Conversely, advertising technology has been brilliant at scale, but it has been really bad at personalization. And what we're starting to see now is ad technology and marketing automation coming together to give more relevant experiences to your customers in a very scalable way. There was a recent study which said 87% of CMOs say that custom content is the future for their business. Sadly, only a third of them said that they're doing it particularly well today. So I think collectively there is an opportunity for us to leverage the new technologies that are being developed that bring marketing automation and advertising technologies together. They're no longer mutually exclusive. We can now identify a whole load of signals from all the noisy data that exists to create different segments and to nurture those people at scale. So they're the 5 trends that we're starting to see, which we believe are going to drive more value for marketers and enable them to nurture their customers more effectively in the future. So we talked about some of the sort of macro shifts which are changing the buyer's behavior, this concept of self-education and the fact that most of buyers in the B2B world, somewhere between 75 and 90% through the decision-making process. We talked about 5 trends that we believe are going to help marketers be more successful. The third thing that I'd like to speak to you about is some of the activity that LinkedIn is doing in this field, which we believe is going to help marketers become more productive, more successful over the coming years. At LinkedIn, we are harnessing all of these trends to provide more relevant experiences to our members, to your potential customers, both in Spain and around the globe. To give you some out of interest, how many of you are on LinkedIn today? How many of you are on LinkedIn profile? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There were a couple of hands that didn't go up. I'm coming to have a conversation with you afterwards. But at LinkedIn, I want to give you some idea of the scale of the platform. So today, globally, we're over 364 million members. We have approximately 200,000 members joining every week in 200 countries around the globe. On average, that means we get a new member every 2 seconds is joining the LinkedIn platform. By our estimates, there's about 750 million million professionals around the globe, of which about 150 million of those are in China. So outside of China, we're about 550 million professionals. That's the total audience for us. 1 in 2 professionals on the planet is currently on the LinkedIn platform. What's important to us today? So, content is at the center of our ecosystem. Content is LinkedIn's DNA. Content is what we've been investing in heavily for the last 3 to 4 years. In fact, content is so important to us that over the last 6 months, we now enable every single one of our members around the globe to publish their own content, to publish long-form content on their own professional profiles. To give you some context of the speed at which self-publishing has taken off, we have more than 1 million posts, and today we're seeing about 10,000 posts coming onto the LinkedIn platform on a daily basis. So if you're not publishing today, there is a unique opportunity for you to build your own professional brand by publishing long-form content which is relevant to your industry, which your customers and your clients will potentially engage with as well. 4 years ago, had you asked me why people come to LinkedIn, I would have said it was primarily to find a job. Today, it's a very different platform. Today, we have 7 times more engagement with areas of the site where people engage with content than areas of the site where people are looking for jobs. Don't get me wrong, it's still a great place to find a new role, to build out your professional profile, but 7 times more engagement where people are looking for jobs. Sorry, 7 times more engagement where people are engaging with content. The thing about content on LinkedIn is that people expect it. And they expect brands to be surfacing relevant content. They expect to consume content that educates, that engages, that inspires. The primary piece of advice I have for marketers who are using our platform to surface content is do not solely talk about your products and services. If somebody wanted to learn about solely your products and services, trust me, they'd give you a call, they'd ask you to come in and present. Today, our consumers, our members around the globe, want to learn more about the trends in your industry. They want to learn about the opinions that you as a business have on all the different topics which are impacting them. Again, they want to be engaged, they want to be educated, and they want to be inspired. Our mission at LinkedIn, within the marketing solutions business, is to be the most effective platform online for marketers to engage professionals. And to be very clear, we differentiate between professionals and others. We did a load of research recently around the mindset that people are in when they're on different types of social platforms. Don't get me wrong, I think there's huge value in personal social platforms. Some of those platforms have more than 1 billion people on them around the world. There's huge value. But the difference in mindset is that on those platforms, people are spending time. On LinkedIn, people are investing time. There's a key difference in the mindset there. Spending time and investing time. We want to be a platform where people are investing time. People are there to do business. People are there to connect with other professionals. And importantly, people are there to self-educate and to be inspired by the content which is being surfaced. As a result of this, over the last couple of years, we've invested very heavily in a suite of solutions that help marketers at every single stage of the sales funnel, from driving brand awareness to building consideration, and importantly, to capturing leads in the B2B and high-end B2C space. And I'm going to share more about each of these, but specifically, I'm going to dive in the ability to acquire leads in the B2B space, because this is something that we've just launched in the Spanish market, and we're excited to bring to you guys today. So, when you think about this buyer's journey and this self-education journey everybody is going on, in many instances, somebody's going to be researching not necessarily your brand, but they're going to be researching the industry in which you provide the service. If they're researching the industry in which you're providing a service, how do you get to them in the early stages of that research? Not surprisingly, you get to them in the early stages of that research through traditional display advertising, as we've been doing for years. The key difference is that, had you asked me 6 or 8 weeks ago, traditional display advertising, at least on LinkedIn, was solely focused on the LinkedIn platform. Now, for a partnership we just announced with Nexus, you can now reach LinkedIn's audience across thousands of professionally relevant sites on the web. So no longer are you only communicating with LinkedIn's members on LinkedIn, but you're now communicating with them across thousands of different websites, all of them within a professional context. We've talked about content, we've talked about surfacing relevant content. I shared the fact that, in general, members are engaging over 50% of the time with the LinkedIn platform through the newsfeed on their mobile device. And the newsfeed is primarily made up of content. That content is both organic content, that content is also sponsored content. So the ability to surface relevant content in the newsfeed targeted at very, very specific audiences, understanding their seniority, their function, their industry, hundreds of different targeting criteria to truly identify your prospects. And then, as I'm sure many of you have done, engaging with email on the LinkedIn platform as well. But actually what I want to focus on today is how do you solve this 1% dilemma? How do you solve the fact that collectively we're accepting today that 1% conversion is good enough? In our view, 1% conversion is no longer good enough. We should not accept 1% as success. So what can we do about it? Very recently in the Spanish market, we launched a solution called LinkedIn Lead Accelerator. And I'm going to talk you through the consumer journey of LinkedIn Lead Accelerator versus the marketer's journey. Today, you have all of these people coming to your corporate website. 95% of them have no idea who they are. We're leaving business on the table with 95%. Imagine a world where you knew who those 95% of people are. Imagine a world where you knew that 20% of your website traffic were chief financial officers from small to medium businesses. Imagine a world where you knew that 50% of your website traffic was coming from people who work in the consulting space on the East Coast of the United States. For the first time, we are now providing you with a suite of analytics so that you have robust website analytics and can understand the makeup of your website traffic using LinkedIn's data set. You go into a self-service tool and you can see, and this is on top of something like Google Analytics, which still provides you with tremendous value. But for the first time, using LinkedIn's data set, you now know the seniority, the function, the industry, the location, all of these different parameters of your website traffic. We've never had that level of granular understanding of our website traffic ever before. And the beauty of that is that you can now change your website, you can adapt your website with a really great understanding of who's actually visiting it and how they're engaging with your products, your services, the Contact Us page, and all of the other tabs which appear on your corporate website. So let's take an example. Let's take Claudia here, who's the Chief Financial Officer of a small to medium business in the technology industry. Claudia, you're maybe spending on a number of channels, displays, sponsored updates, search, webinars. You're using all of this. Claudia has actually clicked on a display ad that takes you to your corporate website. You now know that Claudia is a CFO and works for a small to medium business in the Madrid region. Great piece of data. The way that you're going to communicate with Claudia is therefore very different to how you communicate with other people that come to your website. When Claudia leaves your website, she goes perhaps to the LinkedIn mobile device. Maybe on the mobile device you surface a relevant piece of content, maybe a case study, a white paper, something that's going to educate, something that's going to engage, something that's going to inspire. From the LinkedIn platform, Claudia then may go to the Financial Times or Yahoo or a number of other sites. Again, using LinkedIn's data set, you can then target and surface relevant content on those sites as well. She then may come back to LinkedIn, and perhaps this time we surface perhaps a display ad. But most importantly, at some stage, we want to take Claudia back to your corporate website. The challenge is, though, that when people go to your Contact Us page, in general, you have to fill in a form which is about this long, and people leave and can't be bothered to fill it out. That's generally what happens. One of the key challenges that marketers have been telling us for years is I can sort of get people to my website, I can get them to the Contact Us page, but then I ask them for this many details and they drop off at the beginning. So we have a solution that now solves for that. With one click, a LinkedIn widget, you click the button, it automatically populates the entire form with your LinkedIn login, with your LinkedIn credentials, your name, your email address, your company, your seniority, your function, and submits it straight into your CRM system. you're now able to capture a lead, to nurture those prospects, and to capture leads at scale at the end of the day. Now the challenge is that when someone's in your CRM system, as we saw before, only 20% of those people are actually opening an email. As I said, marketers' jobs today are complex. It is a difficult environment to work in. It's more difficult than it's ever been in the past. And so, as a result of the Lead Accelerator integration, you have an integration with the likes of Eloqua with Marketo. You can now nurture all of the prospects in your CRM system, no longer just using email. Think of Lead Accelerator as marketing automation for the digital age. Marketing automation for social, for display, and for other assets as well. We want to provide our customers around the world with the ability to nurture your prospects, to build relationships with your prospects at scale and capture leads. That is the primary driver that we're now trying to work with our partners on around the globe. But it's all very well and good delivering leads, but unless you can actually measure success, we have a problem on our hands. My view is if you can't measure it, you can't fix it. That's not just within marketing, that's across every single part of our respective businesses. And so we want to provide you with a whole suite of analytics, self-serve analytics, so you can look at your website traffic, so you can understand how to optimize each of the different visitors that you have to your website, and most importantly, so that you can optimize the cost per acquisition. This has been challenging in the B2B space for years and years and years, and we hope that this solution provides you with an opportunity to nurture these leads at scale. So, we've talked about some of the changes in sort of macro shifts in consumer behavior. We've talked about the 5 trends, we've talked about Lead Accelerator. Relevance is only the starting point. Relevance is a starting point because relevance consistently over time enables you to build relationships. And as we all know, our businesses thrive and die based off relationships. And at the moment, we are very much going on this journey for the first time. And we look forward to going on it with you over the coming months and years. Thank you very much. So I have no idea if we've overrun, perhaps we have. But if there's any questions that anyone has, I'm more than happy to ask them either now or separately afterwards. It's silent crowd, so thank you, and I'll catch up with everybody afterwards.